All right, hi guys. So like Drew said, I'm pretty new to comedy. I only started a few months ago, but I always wanted to try comedy because my grandmother was actually a professional comedian. She told old-timey dick jokes in New York like a real-life Mrs. Maisel. And she had lots of great material because her husband, my grandfather, was an alcoholic gambling addict, and he was a bigamist. So if you don't know what that means he had multiple wives at the same time. So at least I can say my taste in that is genetic. And that's all I know about him. Everything I know about this man is negative, which really bothered me because I'm a quarter him. So if he's a complete piece of shit, that just means I'm a quarter complete piece of shit. So one day I asked my dad, is there anything positive you can say about your father? And the only thing my dad could say was, he's dead. Yeah. And I said, that's actually great news because I'm a quarter dead inside. So I did inherit something from him. Yeah. Do you guys want to hear one of my grandmother's jokes? All right. So my grandmother used to live in Yonkers, New York. And she said that she had this crazy neighbor back in Yonkers who never liked to do anything inside the box. So she had a baby boy who she named Odd, O-D-D. This poor kid, of course, hated his name. He got bullied at school. When he grew up, he used a fake name at work. And then when he got much older, in his will, he said he didn't want his name to come with him to the afterlife. He wanted a blank headstone. So they honored his wishes and they buried him with nothing on his headstone. And to this day, every time somebody walks by, they say, "That's odd." Thank you. Yes, that's my grandmother's joke. Lovely lady, rest in peace. So I really hate going to the doctor. I have this theory that all doctors are sadists who just ask you to do a series of impossible tasks. Like at the optometrist when she says, "Don't blink," right before flashing the world's brightest light directly into your eyeball. Or when you're at the dentist and they're like, "Don't swallow," squirting you with that miniature jet stream of water. And I have no medical training, but I'm pretty sure blinking and swallowing are involuntary. The worst is when the gynecologist tells you not to come. I'm not a superhero. Can't control everything. The only doctor who's kind of fun to go to is the medical marijuana doctor. Because, yeah, right? You guys know. Because he just asks you a bunch of questions that have no right or wrong answers. Like, you know what the outcome's going to be. The last time I went, the guy was like, "Do you know if you have high or low blood pressure?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Is that important? Like, should we check?" He's like, "Nah, we don't do that here. I'll just put you down as high." So did you guys know that there are now twice as many single women than single men buying houses in the United States right now? Woo! Yep, it's true. It's true. It's terrible news for single men, but it's great news for contractors. My thermostat wasn't working, so I paid a guy $80 to come out and look at it, and all he did was change the batteries. I didn't even know it had batteries. I don't know, how was I supposed to know that? And then my sprinkler pump wasn't working, and the guy I paid to come out and look at that just kicked it, and somehow that worked. And then I was having issues with my indoor pool, so the pool guy came, and he was like, "Ma'am, how long has this toilet been overflowing?" So I might be done with homeownership. I don't really want to deal with this anymore. So I'm obviously fairly tall, and I have to say dating as a tall woman is really frustrating. I'm honest about my height on the dating app, so men know that I'm 6 feet tall before entering into the sacred contract of matching with me. But it's still really frustrating. We set up a date, and I put on makeup and a pretty dress. I drive down to the date like this with the AC cranked down so my pits don't sweat like the Hunchback of Boca Raton. And I walk into the date, the first thing the guy says is, "Oh shit, you're tall." And I say, "Oh shit, you can't read." And I know the date's pretty much over at that point. Like, his dick just retracts into his body like it's stepped on a Lego. It's not a good sign for the rest of the night. And it's really frustrating that being tall is what limits my dating pool the most, because it's pretty much the only thing about me that will never change. If 500 years from now somebody digs up my skeleton, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, she was really tall." And I'll just be laying there like, can't you just tell me I'm pretty? Like one time. So I'm actually celebrating a sobriety milestone today. Thank you. It's been 1 month since my last fuckboy. And I have to say, fuckboys get a bad reputation, but they do serve an important function in society. So if anyone has an iPhone, you might know that your iPhone has a feature called the SOS feature, where if you hit the button 5 times, it automatically calls 911 for you. I think that your vibrator should have the same function, but instead of 911, it calls an emergency fuckboy service. Ma'am, hello? Yes, we just received notice this vibrator has been used 5 times today. Is there an emergency? Oh, you're 37, single and ovulating? Okay, yes, that's an emergency. Just hang tight. We have a bald skateboarder with stick and poke tattoos on his way to you right now. Help is on the way. I used to think I was into really extreme men, like the skateboarders and the skydivers and the motorcyclists. But it turns out I'm actually just into guys with traumatic brain injuries. Yeah, they're really cute. They call you babe on the first date because they can't remember your name. Like, oh, babe, you're one of a million. Wait, don't you mean 1 in a million? No. I think it's really weird how no matter what brand your vibrator is, they all have the exact same settings. Have you ever noticed this? Like, they all have that weird bzz, 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 or that bzz, bzz. And nobody uses any of those weird settings, right? There's only one setting that any vibrator needs, and that's the 3rd setting, right? So you turn the vibrator on, bzz, bzz, bzz. And that's the only one you need. But sometimes you hit the button by accident, you get the bzz, 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 bzz. So you gotta keep hitting the button to get back to the good one. Like you're scrolling through daytime television looking for Judge Judy. You just keep passing all these soap operas. You're like, who is watching this? I don't want any soap operas, I just want Judge Judy. That's all I want. So I moved down here fairly recently from Chicago. Any Chicagoans? No? No Midwesterners? Okay, well, Chicago's a great city. I have had some culture shock getting used to Florida life. The other day I saw a guy walking down the street with a shirt that said, "I heart sluts" in giant letters. And he was holding a toddler's hand. So back in Chicago, I'd be a little alarmed, start looking up local Amber Alerts. But down here, he's just an upstanding father fulfilling his duties. It's actually super heartwarming. Daddy, what's a slut? Your mom, baby. That's why I love her. Slut is a very nice lady, yes. So I was getting a little worried about my behavior around men. So I looked online to find out more about sex addiction. And I found a quiz that you can take that tells you whether or not you're a sex addict. But I think the best indication of whether you're a sex addict is how turned on you get by answering the questions. It's like, do thoughts of sex distract you from your work or studies? It's like, well, yeah, on the good days, sure. Do you engage in risky sexual behavior? Well, yeah, I do. Thank you for asking. And is your idea of an ideal Saturday night getting spit roasted at an orgy? It's like, how does this thing know all my kinks? I don't understand. It's so specific. I also realized recently that having sex when you're in a relationship versus having sex when you're single is like the difference between being a rich drug addict and a poor drug addict. Like when you're in a relationship, you're just having sex multiple times a day, every room of the house, let's invite the neighbors. You're not worried about running out. But then suddenly you're single, your body goes into withdrawal, you start spacing out your hookups so you don't run out. You get desperate, so you booty call next week's guy on a Sunday afternoon. You're like, shit, I was saving him. So then you just start saying yes to things just because they're available. Like girls? Yeah, try girls. I don't think that's anything. Can't hurt to try. But then the next thing you know, you're a heroin addict. All right, guys, thank you so much. You're a great audience. Give it up for Drew.